Hi, and I really, really apologize to everybody. Um, Lalit, she teaches music as well as being an astrologer, so she's much more aware of how to set up your YouTube. And it ends up that YouTube, there were some keys to push and buttons to push to improve the sound quality. I had not tried to do a YouTube live in a long time, and you could get to it so much more easily. I thought, oh, they must have improved things. No, not really. There's an enormous time lapse, but I want to thank everybody who showed up, and there are some new names on there, and I hope you'll come back. We sort of announced as we were disappearing that we were going to, because my sound went away, and I I could just turn it over to her and let her talk, and you'd have been fine. Nothing about the sound of my voice is all that magical, but we do have some things we want to talk about. So I apologize for us being late. I'm going to set this to go on as soon as I get off after as we've recorded it. Okay, so now Lalit.
Hi, Nancy Jean.
Oh, hi, and I'm so grateful we worked this out. One of the reasons we wanted to use Zoom is Zoom does a much better job of showing astrology charts than you can do on StreamYard. Probably why they don't run my things well, because I don't say their name right. But anyway, what we're here to talk about is the moon tomorrow. And I tell you what, this moon has been like a Mercury retrograde on steroids. I was teaching a class on Saturday. Two of the people couldn't come because they had migraines. Two people came with migraines. One left halfway in. The other one suffered her way to the end of it. Everybody was, if they have trouble sleeping, they now can't wake up. They want to sleep 24 hours a day. If they have had insomnia, they just can't get their butts going. And for people who have no trouble sleeping, we're saying, I'm lucky if I get 3 hours now. And this is all of this lunar thing we're going into between now, and it's actually started about a month ago. I heard a couple of astrologers say the effects of this will start a month ago and they will last for 6 months.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I'm going to leave
Exactly
it to
right.
you to explain this marvelous timing. Astrologers can time everything. Tarot readers just see stuff happening and say, I don't know when. So,
Well, you're right. There are advantages to both, and I know Nancy Jean, you're really well versed in astrology and tarot. So astrology has the timing aspect, and then tarot has more kind of immediacy if you need to right away an answer for a little detail. That's good. But so it's good to work with both, and I know you're accomplished in that. So. All right. So yeah, it's nice to let people know that no, they are not losing it. Everyone is feeling it. Everyone is being influenced by this to one degree or the other, and some of us more than others. So I think that we have to go back and look at the overarching influences that are so strong, especially the famous Pluto return that America is going through, because this is part of our immediate situation. And this Pluto return is a volcanic power that's so powerful that there's no resisting it, and it starts with a big purge. It's a Scorpio influence that starts with a purge of all the rot and bad things that need to be destroyed, and that's the painful part. And we're right in the middle of that, and it runs very deep. And we have, after that, a beautiful thing to look forward to, which is total regeneration and rebirth. Now, this is a big process that's going to take years, but our country is going to come out of this reborn. And where our founding fathers started America on the principle of humanitarian values, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, followed by the French Revolution, which on the same ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Those are the Uranian influences that we're also feeling at this time. These influences are Well, let me show this in the chart of our eclipse tomorrow so that you can just get a quick visual of what's happening with the big solar eclipse tomorrow. This is the first thing we're feeling. So we've got, I just highlighted the main thing that we were looking at right now that we're talking about. In yellow, down in the lower left corner, you see circled the big center of the eclipse, which has not just the sun and moon exactly in 2 degrees, but Venus is also exactly in 2 degrees. That's a very beautiful thing toward working toward our harmony for the future, because it adds social values of love and peace that we're going to be working toward. But this, it's also influenced with Mercury and the South Node, showing that this eclipse is dealing with some past issues that we have to clean out. Looking across, we see Uranus up here in Taurus, and the axis of this eclipse is Taurus to Scorpio, which is the financial part, the part that also shows not just money, but anything we value. Can be your health, can be other values that you hold dear, and there's a big restructuring of all of this, and a lot of things are some surprising big changes happening. It's not the time to do big investments. So I'm not an investment person, and that's not anything I specialize in, but everybody needs to just use caution because it's volatile and there will be highs and lows. It's a big Bronco ride here, up and down. So that's the one thing you can count on, that you can't count on anything. That's it. And this Uranus, we see the big red line over here, the square to Saturn. Now, this is the real center of the things that we're feeling right now that are so hard for us. Because while Uranus is sudden, unexpected change and revolutionary values that are societal and humanitarian, the things that we're looking for going into the age of Aquarius, I'm circling Uranus up here in yellow. These are societal values that value the diversity of people and well-being of all people, and really highly advanced values. Now that some of these things are being challenged, so we see it in our society right now, the women's rights, the whole Roe versus Wade thing, the fear that maybe even birth control rights will be taken away, the fear that people have been talking about LGBTQ rights being abolished, and people are worried about losing their freedom. And young people had their student loans forgiven in part, and then of course we heard, oh no, the other people are trying to take that away. And then we have gun control in the schools. People need freedom to send their children to school, not worried about them being murdered. And so there's a problem with that. So the freedom for life, the freedom of life, that's the first thing that they wrote in our Constitution: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Young people are concerned about the freedom of the earth to survive and some climate control. So I think in the current election, we're going to have women and young people turning out in such droves, because I know, Nancy Jean, you're an expert in politics and you have a lot of political experience in ways that none of us can even fathom. But the Democrats have always had the young people's support, but they don't come out to vote. And I think that all these issues in the freedom area are going to make a surprising change in this election. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that, because I know you're really good in that. Oh my goodness.
I don't wait. Hold for a second. My phone.
I thought I was just talking to you and I had my phone on. Normally,
Oh, okay.
It's off now.
Okay.
So I'm really sorry.
About voting, my youngest went to the polls today. It's the first day of voting in Texas. By 9 o'clock, 350 people had voted, and it's pouring rain here. You have no idea. Texans see rain and they want it. Nothing to do with it. And I really expected. She actually went in thinking, I'm going to walk in and I'm just going to walk out. And nope, Not the way it goes. So, and it's a very popular early voting place. It's in North Dallas. But she also said that there were two Stepford wives hanging around being monitors, poll monitors, people that I presume the Republican Party, because I don't think I've ever seen a Democratic woman I thought looked like a Stepford wife. But they were standing around, and she just kind of looked at her and said, "Don't come near me." And they know they have to get back. And my kids worked polls with me when they were little. I mean, they were raised around doing that. So they know what to do. Don't let these guys intimidate you. Don't believe the stuff the press is saying about young voters, because my youngest is 32. So they're in that 18 to 35-year-olds that people say never vote. And I think that's going to be totally different this time.
Don't you think that's different? I think that's going to make the difference in the election.
Oh, absolutely.
Young people and women.
I read with Scott Allen on Sunday mornings, and that's the only time I really read much about politics. And we laid out cards. We did the demographics from 18 to 35, 36 to 55, 55, 56 to 65, and then 65 and older. And the three youngest groups were all showing up in large amounts, very enthused, clear-headed about what they wanted. And the older people, besides the fact that so many more of them have died. I mean,
there's it. That's so true. So many of them have died, and there's such a propensity on the Republican side. No one has talked about that. I haven't heard anyone talk.
Oh, if you talk to consultants, when we talk to each other, and I talk to them, but I'm not consulting for anyone. But yeah, the numbers that I've seen, what I used to work with was a lot of demographic work and counting noses and toes. That's what I did. And I have a friend that's over in Florida doing that right now. And the numbers he's come back to me with are incredible. And then, of course, you see DeSantis out actually arresting people who were handed the documents by the state, go register, and then they're going to arrest you. That's really crappy. And then the other thing that they were looking at was the complete change of the face of the electorate, that unless you look at the numbers closely, you don't really see it.
Yes.
But there was a huge shift in the demographics in the last million people that registered in Florida. And I can't tell you what all it is, because that's their business. But and so DeSantis wants to force the counties to all live with their new voter rules, unless they're the 5 extremely Republican counties in North Florida that were in the hurricane, which that won't stand either. Anyway, it's all kinds of crazy today. But the voters are showing up early, and I cannot tell you how much, when it rains in Texas, Texans like to think of reasons not to vote anyway, and rain's usually as good a one as any. That's why we have such a long early voting period. We used to have 3 weeks. They cut it to 2. But I'm going to go tomorrow in the morning because I just want to get it out of the way, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm encouraging everyone not to go on election day.
No.
It's going to be too, especially if you're in an area where there might be
Games being played.
skirmishes and violence. If it's any tendency toward that, just don't do it on election day.
No.
Not going to be the end of the world or anything, but the country will survive this, but you don't want to be in the middle of that.
No.
So anything you can do to stay away from that. I think that, Uranus is the planet that rules this election, and it's going to be a surprise. Not for you and I, Nancy, and people like us that have been watching this from a different perspective, but all of the pundits are saying, oh, the Republicans are going to win, but it's going to be a shock to them. And we can finally breathe a sigh of relief, but it won't be a shock to us, but it's going to be a big surprise.
You have to realize that when you and I were little kids, there were about 60 people that owned all the major media outlets in the whole country. when I was I had a degree in broadcast film. When I was first out in that world, the major newspaper in your town could not own a TV or a radio station. They wanted to keep there to be a diversity. Now, the major media in this country is owned by 6 groups. So when you see the pundits all lining up and saying things, and you're looking at it and you're going, that's crazy, that makes no sense. They just learned the unfortunately, as somebody I heard in the radio say today, the lesson they learned from the Nazis was if you lie, just keep saying the same lie over and over again. Keep saying it, and that's what these guys are doing. And I really I feel for people that are caught in that. I so hope they recreate the fairness doctrine, which requires them, if you don't split up who the owners are, you have to split up. If someone says something and it's a lie, you have to give the other side a chance. And we need that. We need some of that fairness
Yes.
back.
In our astrology, we see this Neptune and Jupiter conjunction, which is the classic thing of lies and deceit, and it's being built, fed to so many people that don't know that they're being told lies, and it's so pervasive. The other side of that coin is good for us, which is a spiritual knowledge, but so the people who are into spiritual understanding are making big progress, but those that are involved in the lies and deceit are getting pulled further and further away. And there are a lot of people under this spell, but I think that there are going to be some waking up very soon.
Well, I think the planets are pointing to the fact we're going into this huge change. Didn't you have Venus just finished a point in Libra?
Yes, it's a major change in society, pushing us toward the good side. But we're going to be going through a lot of conflict over the next few months, and things are not going to be smooth or easy.
And the other thing we've got going for us is this says it's from the stars, but it's not from the stars on your chart. It's the photonic shift that we have so much more nano elements coming. The photons are just showering on us, and our Earth's magnetic field has weakened, and the sun's has grown, and we're just getting showered with all kinds of energy. And we never had humans that were aware that could write down what's happening to us. 12,000 years ago, they weren't writing that down. That's the last time we went through this cycle, and it's changing. Photons actually sort of play with our DNA. So they claim it's raising our energetic consciousness, and everyone's consciousness is getting raised, or people who want to fight it can fight it, but they're not going to be able to fight it forever.
It's so true. And so there are many people that are feeling the consciousness change, and then there is the big group of people that have been lied to that are fighting and resisting. And but it's a smaller group, thank goodness.
Yeah, it is.
Local, and they're dangerous. So,
absolutely. What other chart? Okay.
Well, just to finish this little discussion about Saturn here, we see Saturn being in the sign of Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, and it's the planet of restriction. And for one thing, it rules governmental institutions, for example, the Justice Department, and it's slow and a bit rigid and frustrating, but it is the planet that is fighting the change and fighting the revolutionary change that our society needs to go through. And this influence has been off and on now for the past few years with different, we've had planets going in retrograde and back and forth. So it's been there. We've been feeling this push me, pull you. I call it Uranus being the unstoppable force, and Saturn being the immovable object. And it's been a real fight between these forces, and we see it every day with what things that are going on around us that are difficult. So that was one part of this big eclipse that we're having tomorrow. Shows that. Here's another part. There is some free flowing energy. Now, this grand trine is normally seen as a really good thing, but we do have Saturn and Mars, and I kind of feel the trine in this case is energy flowing freely more than necessarily a good thing. I kind of see it more like the scene in The Godfather, where all the families are gathered together and all these powerful people, and you wonder, are they going to work together and fight a common enemy, or are they going to turn on each other? There's a little bit of it's not a really good thing when you have Mars and Saturn together. So we have a lot of energy added into this eclipse. It's extremely powerful in degrees of the zodiac that are the world axis. So this is going to be influencing not just our country, but countries all over the world, and we see it. You can just look at the news and see that. Also in this eclipse, we have some powerful squares. We've got Jupiter and Neptune. We talked about lies and deceit. In a negative thing with Mars, which is dissemination of energy, of news and communication here in Gemini. So there's going to be an uptick in lies. Not that we need that. We've been drowning in lies for so long, but it's going to be a big surge for the next, up until the election when we get the new eclipse. But this is a bunch more lies, and it's really pervasive, and it's very explosive. Pluto is involved with with Mercury, so it's very deep. And some people just see right through it, and other people are being hoodwinked, which we can't understand these two perspectives. How can it be? We look at it and see things one way, and we just can't understand why everyone doesn't see it, but they don't. They
don't hear it. If
They don't hear it. They don't see it.
Yeah, they're choosing sources that are,
Choosing.
we're all choosing sources where we dive back into
Yes.
our belief system.
Our belief system, exactly, and it's so deep. And these quincunxes here are showing a need for adjustment, a need for change. So it's just a really a period that's very intense. And when you put all those things together that I just showed, separate geometric things, so you could kind of get a picture of each little element, put them together. Whoops. It's a big mess.
Yeah,
it's a big mess. And so
everybody seems to be feeling that's how they feel.
And everyone's feeling it. And so to give courage to those of you viewers out there who may think, oh my God, you see it on your personal level, especially those of you who have the fixed signs, and in your horoscope, you're going to feel it even more than some other people. So it will hit some people more than others, but it's going to affect the whole world, and it will be felt. These eclipses it's about a 6-month period that the duration of this is going to be felt. So it's hold on to your horses. And one thing I would say, meditation for us, we need to do meditation because we can't get our vibration locked into that fray of being upset and negative, and you have to do things there are things that everyone can do. If you have a little pet, or a walk in nature, or watching Nancy Jean's garden, pick up her crystals. I got to hear more about your crystals, Nancy Jean. I think it's the most wonderful thing. I'm doing a thing on my channel that I just started. One of the things I want to do, my channel's very new and I haven't had much chance to do it yet, but I did make one meditation video on the moon where you hear the sound of the moon itself. It's the actual vibration that was recorded from Voyager of the moon, and some relaxation techniques that I devised is really to put on when you get into bed, or you can do it then and just really relax and have a more peaceful sleep and build your vibration with that. But I'm starting a new thing with Mongolian chant, because We're going to be doing it as a little group activity after my live stream on Sunday. So anybody who wants to do the power of vibration focus from the inside of your body, it's something like Tibetan bowls, singing bowls with harmonic resonance, and everything, but you produce the sound with your voice, so it comes out of you from the inside. And it's really powerful. So I'm starting that. I put up a little video, an introductory video, so people would understand what that is.
And your channel is Astrology Vibration.
Astrology vibrations, yeah.
I'll have links to that below when I post
I
the
could put,
video.
there it is. You can get a free astrology chart and interpretation by just asking for one, and I send it to you, no questions asked. But that's the channel,
Okay.
Astrology Vibrations, and that's me. So I think anything all of those techniques are good, and watch your diet and get exercise and make sure you get some downtime where you can recover your strength. Take a nap. A nap is really good for a reset. Any of these things. I touch my cats, which are really helping just instantly. So we need as much of that as possible because we're in for a crazy ride. And the real crazy element in timing is that the next big eclipse after the one tomorrow, and it's even bigger, is on election day. Hip hip hooray! That's what we need, right?
Yeah, well, you want things to change, you got to break few dishes.
Yes.
You know?
Oh yes. Change is on the order for sure. Do you want to look at the next eclipse, or you want to talk about something else in the meantime? Because it's a kind of a. What do you think?
I think the next eclipse, the sun, what is it going to look like? Do you have it set up on your thing?
I do. Okay. I broke it down into different little groups so that you can see it more clearly. Otherwise, it's too confusing. So as before, you have the this is going to be a lunar eclipse. So it has the sun in Scorpio and the moon is in Taurus. Now, the freaky thing about this, in astrology, when planets are further apart in their conjunction, it's maybe not as intense. When they're close and really together, look what we have. In the exact degree of the eclipse, which is 16 degrees, the moon is conjunct Uranus. This is that urge for the Aquarian age ideals that we were talking about: liberty, fraternity, equality, all those things, and lack of bigotry, and all of those wonderful ideals that we aspire for as a nation. We were founded on these principles. Some people seem to have forgotten that, but that's in the forefront here, and it is showing something so dramatic and shocking. Well, it won't be shocking to you and I, Nancy, but it's going to be shocking to a lot of other people. So this is electrical charge. And Uranus is seen, some people say, like it's the higher octave of Mercury. It does affect the nervous system, the communications, and it is a big, violent change. This is like a tower moment in tarot cards. And we have it over here with Mercury in 15 degrees right next to the sun, and Venus close at hand. So it's extremely powerful, dramatic change. And we have a T-square, a opposition between, that always happens in an eclipse, but Saturn is at the other corner in Aquarius. So there is going to be some resistance and some things that are going to take some time to manifest. It won't happen all at once, but the seeds of this change are irrefutable and unresistible, and they will take a little bit of time to become practical in our institutional changes that will result from this. Will occur through the coming months, and even this is such a big change that it's going to be developing over actually years. So that's one of the things in this eclipse coming up on election day. Mars and Pluto, oh dear, because those two are higher octaves of each other. In other words, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. The energy is similar. So imagine waves on the sine waves or waves on the ocean. This wave of Mars is going to be in tune with the wave of Pluto, and it's like building up of a tsunami. When the waves match frequency as they do, they double or triple or quadruple in size from its individual wave. So putting those two together, and we have Mars in Gemini, the communication factor, there's going to be some violent resistance. Let's put it that way.
What degree is Mars in Gemini at that day?
I think it's 25. I think it's 25. I've been looking at so many things.
I know. I just usually you can
Let me
read
see.
past this.
I think
That's
it's
okay. It looks like
25.
25.
I think
25
it's
would be a good.
25. And so it's and 26 for Pluto, so close. These two are in a close problem. Now it's not an opposition, it's a quincunx, so this is adjustment. So there's going to be some urging, some people that are very violent, and the Pluto at the higher octave of that, this is the deep-rooted change. Remember, this thing wasn't all caused by, let's say, 45 or Trump. There are some problems in our society that were hidden, and we are rooting them out through and through. And so it's a deep cleanse. And it's going to be long lasting. Now, this other quincunx over here, when you see quincunxes in this formation, some people, this is called in astrology the finger of God.
That's a yod, a YOD.
Yes, yeah, there we go. So it's very powerful and involving all of these things in Mars and Pluto in relation to all these things in Scorpio. This is the most powerful regeneration. That's the most powerful thing possible. And we know that Biden has all of the Scorpio influences. So does our Merrick Garland. And these two Scorpio people have the higher end of Scorpio because they don't. It's not out front. It's kept very tight to the chest, and the power is built up inside. But it's getting to the boiling point here, and everything's going to change. After this election, it will be different.
They'll be free to do what they need to do.
They'll be free to do what there are many other things that will point to that, Nancy.
Right.
I know you know about astrology.
Yeah. What if your natal Uranus was on exactly that point where Mars is going to be on that day? What do you think that's going to say? Asking for a friend. That's the degree Uranus is in my natal chart, where Mars is.
Guess what, Nancy?
What?
You and I are born very close together.
Right, I know. And Uranus is what
I have it too.
Uranus is what you call the generational planet
Yes.
because it moves so slowly. So all the people born around the time you are
Yes.
going to have certain big outer planets in the same reasonable location.
And we're not going to let them take away our Social Security.
That's the name. They take mine away, then they'll be housing and clothing me at the county jail because they'll have no place else to go.
Well, can we just let's finish this little thing. The first
Okay.
part you saw, I made a little diagram over here of the formation you just looked at was the my arrow. I know it's not showing. If we see the little, I made a little geometric form over here, and you just look, and I'm showing you the yellow thing. This yellow thing is what you looked at a second ago. And here it is over here. So this is what you just saw. But we didn't talk about this other face, which goes from Mars in Gemini to the Jupiter-Neptune thing. This is the lies and deception part. And this is requiring adjustment. This lies and deception is going to have some bringing to the light of day. And we have the nice trines underneath from Scorpio to Pisces, and there are going to be some good things for Biden in this area, having Jupiter coming in a good place for Biden's thing. And I do have his chart up too. So So the lies and deception thing is going to be transmuted, and there will be still some remnants of the real cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs people that are just going to be left out, but it's gonna change. And
Yes.
the whole thing, putting it all together, this is election day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So don't vote in on election day if you can avoid it, because all of these things are so close. So in Scorpio over here, oopsie, I see you can't see what I'm doing. In Scorpio, we have very close things. You have Mercury, the Sun, and Venus, and over here, the oppositions are really strong. Throw in Pluto, Mars, and Saturn. Stay home that day if you can. There's no reason to get involved in any fray. Say your powers of protection. I love that. Tom Moore's going to be back on Linda G's channel, and he said if he used an example last time he was on. He said, if you're in a platoon and you have to go out on patrol, if you say the prayer, I ask for the most benevolent outcome, this little patrol I have to go on, then you are not going to get personally involved, no matter how bad the fray is around you. So you need to say that little prayer of protection and say it for the whole country, for our nation as a whole, and for you as an individual, and ask for the most benevolent outcome, and try to convince all your friends to vote ahead of time, because they'll be okay. It's not that this is violence breaking out everywhere. They're just like pockets in certain areas that it will happen. And so the country just it's a shakeup. And it have to be rebuilt and restructured from the bottom up, which will take time. It's not going to happen in a day, but it's going to be a very big breakthrough. And you can see there's some really wonderful things for Biden that are happening. He's got Jupiter trining his ascendant. So this is Biden on this is his birth chart, just so you see all his Scorpio stuff. And he has, interestingly, Saturn and Uranus on his descendant. So he has the Uranus in his job. He's trying so hard to promote the well-being of everybody, and he has such a good heart. And here in his relationships, Saturn, these are the relationships with people he used to have in the Senate, etc. They're holding him back. So they've been holding him back, but with the eclipse, there's this is the eclipse on the outside of his chart. His natal chart that you just saw is in the inner ring. So this is his natal chart in yellow here in Scorpio. And his Saturn and Uranus over here. This is the natal influence. And the things on the outside are the eclipse, where they're affecting him. Look, it's all piling up on him. Remember I said that the eclipse will hit some people more than others? Well, this is as more as we can get. He's going to have a big help, because he's been trying to do things and running into inertia and momentum. People are fighting him, and they've been fighting him, and there's been so much resistance. Saturn is resistance and going slower, but he's going to have a Jupiter helping him out on the ascendant. And this is a very good breakthrough for him. He's going to have improved appreciation with Venus, and the Sun are going to help him. His numbers are going to go up. People will appreciate him more. And this Uranus hitting his descendant is going to be some unexpected disruption of the status quo here. So this election is going to change everything. And it's going to change it. He's been stuck. He takes a step forward with student loans, and then they push him back. He takes a step forward and they push him back. This is going to change after the election, because there's going to be a breakthrough. And the public image, his career, big changes in that. He's got the part of fortune up here. He's got changes in his career, and the way that people look at him is going to be very different. He'll be able to communicate better. He's got Venus conjunct Mercury, and that'll be more communication. And you asked me to take a look at the 11th and 12th. So he's got some things that are showing this is actually on the 12th, this day.
Mm-hmm.
The, it's a little bit moved ahead from the eclipse a few days, and it's
Mm-hmm.
showing a lot of improvement in communication. And I expect with this, he's got things at the midheaven that show, I think that there's going to be some communication changes with Mercury are going to be helping him out in the, I think he's going to make some kind of big announcement on right around that day, 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
A big speech that's going to be one of those speeches that are momentous. There's a few
Mm-hmm.
speeches in history that we remember of Kennedy or, few or Roosevelt making speeches that go down in history as really powerful. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be making an announcement. And with Uranus, it's going to be a complete rebirth. And things are going to just get off to a different start. And he's going to have support of the legislative branch to do the projects for climate change, for gun control, for all the welfare for the mass of humanity, taking the wealth away from the little less wealth, so the 0.5% at the top, it's spread around, will do a lot of good. And so I see the 12th as a really good day for Joe Biden.
And that came out of on Saturdays, every other Saturday, I teach Oracle Garden readings, and we rolled just November 8th because the Oracle Garden doesn't do politics, doesn't like politics. I have friends who've tried to read it with me that do politics more often. And one time they said, "Oh, just let's ask about this person." And every time we asked about him, the crystal that is part of the mind would roll off the board. Guess who we were talking about? Anyway,
Uh,
yeah, no. But so we looked at election day because I said it's gonna be eclipse and stuff, and everybody kind of was like, exactly what you said. Everybody's going to feel confused. They're going to be frightened. They're going to let the fear overtake the sensibility. And so one of the other women said, "I just got November 12th in my head." So we rolled November 12th. It's like a complete sea change. It's totally different. And so we did some of that on Sunday also with Scott, just double checking. And we all saw that by the 12th of November, the vast majority of the recounts, except the ones that are really too squeaky to call, will be done. And what has happened will have happened, and people are just going to have to accept it. I mean, I don't know what Tucker's going to talk about, but
People, I think, are getting fed up.
yeah. And so that's why she asked, that's why I asked her about November 12th. And that happens too when you're a reader. You'll all of a sudden see another point of view or see another place where things are coming from. And you'll want to know what it is. And it's kind of interesting. So now y'all know what we saw. I want to tell you, Lalit, that it's very good that we didn't stay on YouTube. My internet went out, and it never happens. I just got I got a
Oh,
thing on my phone. You have no
that
internet.
is so strange.
So, so for y'all to really see this whole thing, not have us take you up to the, oh, election day sucks, and then not hear the good stuff about how just, you know, I don't know how many of you have raised children, but I had a friend that when had my first child, she already had kids that were teenagers, and she looked at me and she said, "You can survive anything for one day. That's all you have to worry about is that
Yeah.
one day."
Oh,
And she
yes.
said, "Nothing lasts forever." She said that means the best piece of chocolate cake you ever ate, or the baby screaming and teething and stuff. She said, all of those are just part of it, and in the end, it all weighs out. And she died unfortunately last year, but she was very, very smart, and and there were times when I was hanging on by my toes when I was in graduate school with a baby. And I was like, I can't do this. And I would think, no, I can do this today, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. And so I think the 8th of November may be one of those days that we
That's
write down.
wise advice. That's true. So get all of your antidotes ready. Your meditation. It could be a glass of wine. Get your cat, your dog.
Mm-hmm.
And
Order,
support.
get your food in for whatever is your guilty meal that you just eat, and you know when you eat it, you're going to be happy.
And I think that probably Nancy Jean and the others of us are going to be doing things on the internet to keep you centered and remember to breathe.
I was going to tell you about this later, Lalit, but I've been, and you may have gotten the email too, but there's a bunch of readers that want to pick times so that there's somebody up every hour you can go see
What a good
who's
idea.
doing positive meditations, who's letting you get away from the
Oh, I'm in.
constant drill of, you know, on election day when I was managing campaigns, other than making sure all my people were at the polls where they were supposed to be, outside, so that was the easiest day of the year. I mean, it's done. I mean, unless your candidate goes out and shoots somebody on the street, but as we all know, like Trump said, I could shoot people on Fifth Avenue and they wouldn't blame me. But at the time, that might have worried me. But I'd just drive around and make sure everybody was where they're supposed to be and keep them feeling chipper and happy. And I'd just wait for the election night watch party, because your work is done. And right now, so many states are in early voting. Our work is to some extent. Now, that doesn't mean, that means that you go, and if someone said they're going to vote, and it's now 2 days into early voting, and you call them and I haven't gotten there yet, say, okay, date, time, when do you want me to pick you up? Or however you can motivate them to go. I used to live in a building full of, well, you had to be 62 or better to live in the building. And there are a lot of people there that didn't have cars. And, getting a mail-in ballot when you're our age is not nearly as difficult as it is for younger people. But I used to encourage some of them. We used to have 3 or 4 of them that I'd make sure I picked them up. We'd go make sure they got to the polling place. Then we'd stop at their favorite ice cream place on the way back. And it was a big day out for them. And when I left the building, one of the guys hugged me when I was moving out. And he said, we're going to try and find someone who'll get us to the polls. And I said, you'll find somebody, because there are a lot of politically active people there. There were also some people that if they said they wanted me to drive them to the polls, although I think people should vote for whomever they want to, I don't have to participate in getting them there. But if you know what I mean.
I hope everybody thinks of all their friends and neighbors. If they're family members, anyone in a senior community, they can go
Mhm.
help people and help as many people as you can and encourage the young people to get out.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, thank you for all your help. If we're going to do another one with Lalit later on, maybe we can actually do it live if I can figure out all this noise.
We'll
But
figure it out.
and maybe I can figure out how to get your pictures up on StreamYard. But we tried it yesterday both ways, and this one
Well, we were guided
to
this
do it
way.
this way
Else
because
it completely would have fallen apart with your internet out. At least we did it. And remember to always turn on that original sound up at the
I
top
will.
where it says on. That's going to make a big difference for you in all of your things.
And this is, see, I learn every day. I learn from the cards, I learn from the readers I work with, and I learn from the people who have conquered the technical world much better than I have over here. Anyway, blessings to all of you. I'm going to try to get this up as fast as I can. I have to get it to tech support. Tech support puts all my shows up, so.
I
And
made up a saying, a new saying. The minute you stop learning is the minute you start dying.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
we're
true.
still going strong, Nancy.
That's doing our thing. I will put
Such a
in the
pleasure.
notes. I'll put in the notes below how to reach Lalit, and you have a website?
I got the domain and
Okay.
YouTube has taken all my time and I haven't done
Okay.
diddly squat
I
on
just I
building
did
it yet.
I
It's
just
going to be astrologyvibrations.com, but it's going to happen soon.
well, you can get a hold of her through her Gmail, and I'm sure it's a
Yeah,
very full Gmail box at this point.
everything is Gmail. Astrology Vibrations Gmail, Astrology Vibrations YouTube, astrologyvibrations.com. Just have to remember one name.
Yeah, see, I didn't do that, but I like to make people work to get a hold of me. Anyway, thank you so much, Lalit, and thank you people for being patient with us, and we will talk to you later. Bye.